Ottawa, Ontario, the nation's capital, is building towards the future. A massive infrastructure project is underway, with upgrades coming to its transit system and highways that will make life easier for travelers coming in and out of the city. The busiest of these routes is, of course, Highway 417, and it is getting much-needed lane expansions. But the widening of this highway means a number of bridges need to be removed and replaced. And when you're talking about bridge removal, the next words out of your mouth should be Priestley Demolition, the province's premier bridge demolition company. PDI is quickly establishing its presence in the Ottawa region, and with the amount of infrastructure that's being changed and built, they've been contracted for a number of the bridge demos. The first order of business is the Lees Avenue Bridge. Its service days are over, and it's scheduled for an upgrade. Nice little warm-up job for the PDI boys. The Lees Avenue Bridge is being removed in one big chunk. As the new structure is being built off to the side, the old one will be disconnected from the abutments and literally carried away to be dismantled elsewhere.
We're here at the Lees Avenue Bridge in Ottawa. We're going to be demolishing the two end spans of this bridge, and Tomlinson's going to be performing a rapid replacement.
We are going to be removing the outside spans with a crane where we're doing regular demolition. The center of the bridge is going to be removed over the weekend, over Saturday night. We're going to be wheeling it out on what's called SPMTs. They're basically buggies that hold the bridge up, transfer the bridge into a staging area.
It's a high-profile job. It's not your typical bread and butter demo in that we're demolishing this, obviously over live traffic. So the highway is still super busy.
The 417 is one of the main arteries in and out of the city, the nation's capital. So we have to do our best to not interrupt or impede at any time.
Removing the crosses from the beams, to lift the beams with a crane in the morning so that we'll be ready for Saturday night to remove the whole center of the bridge.
Another notch on the old belt with the Lees Bridge. Focus now turns to another job that doesn't exactly fit into the conventional demolition category. Lees presented its own set of challenges, but it was a walk in the park when compared to Hurdman's Bridge, only a kilometer away. Hurdman's challenge lies in its location, spanning the renowned Rideau River. This national treasure cannot be subjected to any type of environmental degradation. Priestley's Demolition's stellar reputation made it the obvious call. Thousands of tons of concrete needing to be removed over an environmentally sensitive waterway without a full closure of the highway in the winter in a financially and time-efficient way? Too much to ask, you think? Not for PDI. Challenging jobs are what they live for. There are no how-to manuals for demos like these. So saying that there's a lot of prep work for a job like this is a huge understatement. But PDI is covering all the bases. This complicated project is being tackled in 2 phases. Phase 1 will consist of removing the lanes on the outside perimeter of the bridge. New outside lanes will then be built to allow for the demolition of the interior lanes in Phase 2. This game plan allows this important artery to remain open during both demolition and construction. This also puts a lot of scrutiny on the project, as commuters are coming and going watching the progress. But before any of the big wrecking can get going, careful attention needs to be given to the fiber optics cables that also reside on this bridge. These highly sensitive cables provide Ottawa with phone and internet and cannot be compromised in any way. Mess with this stuff and you're messing with thousands of dollars in repair costs.
These conduits, which are up against the second girder, these are all live fiber optic cables servicing one side of the river of Ottawa to the other. So it's very important that we do not damage or break or interfere with them whatsoever. So it's definitely been a little bit more difficult working around them. We've got to saw cut this deck and lift the deck up without having anything fall down and break or pinch or interfere with them whatsoever.
Slurry runoff from the concrete saw also poses a big problem. The possibility of river contamination really has the potential to hold up demolition. That's where the bright minds of PDI really shine.
Yeah, we'll do it. We'll do whatever we got to do, right?
They come up with a solution to really get things moving along.
In the distance in span 2, you can see our barge. The barge is going to allow us to mobilize a piece of equipment on top of the barge. From up top in the live lane, we will use our catch-all bin on our cabalco to catch the concrete, and we'll use the cabalco in the distance on top of the barge to slowly break that girder and let the pieces fall into the catch pit. Preliminary talks at the time of tender mentioned possibly a causeway spanning from one side to the other with a small amount of open water for navigable waterway. Once that was no longer a possibility, we had to become thinkers and come up with a different way of doing it. And Ryan came up with the idea of supporting the beam from the top. Today we are preparing the plates for our steel beam that's going to span the concrete girder so that when we begin the demolition of the girder, it won't fail and collapse on top of the barge. So we're cutting them into 2-foot pieces. We're going to come back tonight at 11 o'clock when we can close 2 lanes of the live highway, mobilize the pieces out into span 4, and begin assembling the steel beam. Let's get the other set of torches going. We got lots of gauges, lots of bottles. Okay?
As PDI attempts to conquer this tight time frame with all these hurdles, day shifts turn into night shifts, and weekends, well, they don't exist around here. Full attention is being given to the installation of the steel support beams.
We brought the beam over from where the welders put it all together Sunday night. We worked yesterday, core drilling holes and hammer drilling holes, and we're just trying to set as many of these anchors as we can. The epoxy takes 2 days to reach full strength, so best case scenario would be a Thursday night demolition. Last one, hallelujah.
The end is in sight for Phase 1, and with it being the coldest winter in years, it couldn't have come soon enough. After a few more girders and a bit more decking, the PDI crew will hand the job over to the road builders to get those new outside lanes built. The barge has worked well for this first phase, but it certainly came with a learning curve.
When working on a boat, it's different than working on the ground. Everyone we've got's used to working on solid ground, and the movements need to be very slow and very steady when working on the water. You can't get all rammy and try and do things fast, meaning you just pull it a little bit and it'll drift. So you got to keep the tension on it. We've worked here all day today. We're going to work through the evening, and then they're going to close the 417 for us, 2 lanes at about 11:30. We're going to come in, we're going to pick up our steel beam, and we're going to take it off onto solid ground, where it'll probably stay there until next July when we return for phase 2.
Phase 1 is in the bag as we fast forward to the dog days of summer. A far cry from that bitter cold Ottawa winter. The new outside lanes are in and are in full swing, bringing traffic in and out of the city. Phase 2 won't be any easier. This phase is broken into 2 sections, the hard part and the hardest part. No easy routes on this project, I'm afraid.
We're just starting phase 2 of the Hurdman Bridge project here in Ottawa. Right now we're just mobilizing the site and removing the deck, exposing the girders so that they can be cut free from each other while installing bracing so that they don't fall over on their own. Safety, like every job, is paramount. However, this job is unique in certain ways. We have live traffic on either side of us. You always have to be aware. We're always working at an open edge. The bridge deck is being removed constantly, ever evolving and moving in different directions. So there is no room for error. Everyone must be tied off 100% at all times.
The first part of this stage requires the removal of the decking, again avoiding any debris falling in the Rideau River, and being constantly alert to the speeding traffic only a few feet away from the work zone. The decking comes off without incident. Now it's time for the fun part, the girder removal. The location, combined with the massive size of these girders, is not going to make this easy.
They're 130 feet long and they're about 130 ton apiece. So they're going to be very difficult to remove. We're going to have to mobilize a special, unique tool to site. It's a gantry crane with high capacity. So right now we're just exposing the girders so that they can be cut free from each other while installing bracing so that they don't fall over on their own.
It's mid-October, and a cold pre-winter wind is already swooping into the Ottawa region. The stage is now set for something completely new to PDI, a gantry system to remove the remaining 26 girders. All hands are on deck for this crucial weekend. It'll be an around-the-clock process beginning Friday night and ending early Monday in time for the morning commute.
Here we are now near the end of phase 2. We have to remove these girders that are spanning over the river. We've come up with a plan to use a gantry crane supplied by Western Mechanical. We're going to stage the gantry crane on the east side tonight at around 9-10 p.m. We're going to install the gantry, pick it up, set it on the track. This is the first time for us to use this gantry crane, and really is the only scenario that we could come up with that was going to meet the overall deadline. We're going to lift like 3,000 tons of concrete off this bridge in 24 hours. So if we were to try and use barges and bring off 50 tons or 20 tons at a time, we would have been here a lot longer.
The gantry is a complex crane system that moves along steel rails. This will allow workers to lift the girders from above and carry them a safe distance from the river to be broken down and processed. The massive gantry is assembled and ready to go to work. It's time to see what this steel beast can do.
First beam on the left, you got to go in this direction. So we take one, span 2, then span 3, and then span 4. Come back, we start this end again, or we work our way across. set them down, and then we'll hold them with two of our big machines. We'll undo the rigging, and then we'll just flop it over on its side. And then the gantry will travel back away from us. Then we'll break it up into sections, probably 5 sections. Each of those girders weighs about 130 ton. So each section is going to weigh 20-25 ton. And then we're going to push them with the big loader right down out of the way, basically. And then we're going to process them there, and then we're going to load the dump trucks there to haul them away.
The first girder comes out without a hitch. Things are off to a good start. But just as the crew is starting to feel good about things, the first snag rears its ugly head. The weight of these girders has thrown the balance out of whack. Things need to be recalibrated on the gantry. Time is ticking away. Friday night quickly becomes Saturday morning, and the gantry isn't working as smoothly as it should. 55 hours to remove 26 girders seemed like plenty of time. But 8 hours after the gantry removed the first girder, it's only removed 3 more. The hydraulic system that allows the piston to come back down after hoisting the girder is failing, substantially increasing the time per girder removal. As always, the PDI crew has to think on its feet to speed things up.
And the cylinders are very strong, lifting up 200-ton capacity each, but they're very slow to lower down. So with the weight of the girder, it helps lower the cylinders down. So we've tried to dig a couple of holes at each end to bring the girder down even lower, to bring the cylinders down even further before we have to unrig the girder, adjust, and then send the gantry back out. It's using what you have to the best of your ability. We've got the girders, they weigh 130 tons. They're gonna pull the cylinders down faster than anything else.
The math to see this job finished by Monday at 5 a.m. has quickly been altered. A major breakdown at this point will completely derail getting this done on time, and the fallout for not having the job completed this weekend is enormous.
Okay, I got my chain over there. We need another chain. Well, if anything, it's got to go back. Can't come. There's like bell ducts right here. It's Saturday afternoon, 3:20. We're lifting out girder number 6. It's been going a little bit slower than we had thought, but you can't always consider every potential hazard or problem or breakdown. If we can get 2 more girders out before 6 o'clock, that's going to leave us about 30 hours to do 19 girders. So it is possible, so we're not giving up just yet. At the end of the day, nobody's ever really done a project like this, and I really believe we are going to get it done on time. But we've used up all our spare time now. It's going to go right down to the wire.
Maybe not what was initially planned out, but with some heads-up ingenuity, things are now moving more smoothly. Their time cushion has been all used up, so if they weren't feeling the pressure earlier, they sure are now. You wouldn't know it though by looking at their composure. Cool as cucumbers. The old PTP is in full swing. Problem, troubleshoot, and proceed. It isn't anything new for projects of this magnitude. The Saturday night, early Sunday morning crew had an incredible shift, obliterating 8 girders in 10 hours, leaving the Sunday day crew to polish off the remaining 10. With the system cooking along now, 16 hours for 10 girders shouldn't be a problem.
Last night went very well. Crew really got into a jive last night. We had 6 girders out in about 8 hours. I'm gonna move these lights and then we pull the blocks that way, then we're pulling them the right way to rig onto the next girder, right? Yeah, you're right. You're just double fighting it now. You're over center for sure. The other thing is we should get on Medeo and start balling this stuff up, and then Dave Ray can bring the loader here and we load a ball of ceiling doors. The plan was to finish this weekend. If we don't finish this weekend, we basically don't have a plan. So I'm gonna get out of here and Brian's gonna finish up, stay late tonight and go home tomorrow. Hey, Jelly!
The PDI guys don't like to jinx the project by celebrating too early, most having learned this the hard way. Hoses can pop, couplings can break, steel can fail. You just never know on projects like this. But there is definitely a positive vibe in the air as they go out for the last girder.
This was a huge weekend. Everyone was put to the test. Machine operators, subcontractors. So very big weekend. Very nice to have it done and complete. Everything was safe. Everything went well. Nobody got hurt.
There might have been a bit of fandangling, but the gantry has done its job. It can now be removed, opening up 2 more lanes for Ottawa's Monday morning rush hour. A new system, some different techniques, but the same result. Bridges gone.